the group. Uh, I want you to fill in that Google form. Doesn't open. Yeah, yeah. 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 Does it sound tough? I'm very keen on your first answer. Yeah. So how has the definition, opinion of marketing management changed for you over the last 3 years, 3 months? Is this all? Some more coming or they're coming? Come. So fill in that Google form and we'll spend about 10 minutes, 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. Hi. Come. Hey. Which one? Which one? Yeah. No connect. It doesn't mean internet connectivity. Yeah. No. Are you connected with them? Are you connected with them? Yeah. Correct. Do you think you are an island? Do you think you have nothing with marketing? Like I am HR and I have nothing to do with marketing. That's what some of the perceptions were. And then which one? Yeah. Uh, it means that, let's say you are working in some distant accounting branch office and you have nothing to do with the marketing department. But despite that, do you have a marketing role for your company? So the most likely answer is what? Before you came in, what is the, all of you following the second question or no? When you not yet started, of course, right? So it means that you are saying that I am in a department which has nothing to do with marketing. Is that a correct statement or? Do you believe that everybody has a role in it? That's the point I'm trying to ask you. So how? How do you think that you are involved in marketing in your company when you're an IT guy? How do you think you are involved in a company if you're the administrative head of your company? So this is your learning after 3 months. So what have you learned? Do you believe that every role, every individual has a marketing group? That's the question that I was asking. And what else? Online, are you all following? Or is it it's confusing?
Still in the first question, sir.
Still in the first question. Very good. Okay, we have a cutoff at 1:45. Okay, 1:45. Obviously, this is not a, what do you call, a graded question. So you don't have to, what do you say, be worried whether your answer is right or wrong. It's my understanding of how much you have understood at the end of 3 months of association on marketing. When you started your class, you would have answered, I don't think I know anything about marketing. I am sitting in some department. I have nothing to do with marketing. Now, do you believe that every person in the organization? That's the question. And this is not my piece of art, but it's okay to remove it. No? So you follow the second. Then what about the third question? Is that working on it? Then what about fourth one? Don't worry about typos. I'm more interested in speed of answer at this stage. What happened yesterday? You guys disappeared halfway through. I took a turn at Silk Board. But you also followed me. Huh? I was seeing you both then. I know this. You continued. Huh? I was looking for you. Yeah. Are you able to work on it? Understand it up? Perfect. Okay. I can ask you, you'll be able to give me the answer. Yes, perfect. Very good. This is our last class. And so we have a lot of things to do. Yeah. So not necessarily for the rest of the subjects, because I have actually today was or yesterday was supposed to be HR, and I took his class because I'm traveling from tomorrow. No, I'm on a long travel. Yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, my travel was decided before the voting dates were announced. So right, I think that's Pundalik answering those questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your answers. I guess that's your answer. And somebody else. Let me go there. Where is that? Hmm. Jackson, where's Jackson? So you completed and you answered, huh? Okay. We stopped. These three people have arrived. We were waiting for them to start the class. Yeah. So what I would suggest is you fill in with your own personal inputs later on. But for the moment, you stop. Right? Fair enough, because you have a few things to cover. I'll give you just 2 minutes to wind up. If you're in the middle of a question, or you'd rather well type it. But
Sir, I
you're
missed
done.
answering one question
Yeah.
that is regarding absorbing stories. I couldn't get it. It's okay now, sir.
No. So let's
Yeah.
begin with answering that question online now.
Okay.
So what do you, so anyway, now done. Generally, what is your opinion on the first one? How has your opinion marketing management changed? That's a typical question that I'm asking you. Is that what have you learned? So what would you like to reply? One of you. Yeah.
The Archana here.
Yeah, 1 minute. Let us have him complete it and then, yeah.
Sir, I have to answer, right, sir?
1 minute. Hang on. Let's finish Mr. Offline. Yeah, I mean, otherwise too confusing. Yeah, how do I? Yeah, so let him finish. Yeah, we'll do.
Sir, in the beginning, we had a marketing perception is around more selling and not listening to customer. But after 3 months, we have realized that it is more to do with listening customer, understanding his needs, and then building all the activities around it and bringing those changes in the organization. It is from more inside out to the outside in. So there is a complete perception change.
Very good. Very good. And then now let's have him complete it. Hold on. Now, your name, Kiran, because yesterday I was feeling, actually, I've been referring you as Mr. Kivraj, and I think that was being rather overboard on the thing. So I need to get your name now. Jaideep. Okay. Jaideep and Kiran. Okay. Now, because I said Mr. Bueller, Mr. Kivraj, all the time it doesn't really work well, right? It's okay, right? I guess. But it happens even in my group. Oh, they call me by my company name, my friend circle. So it happens. Huh?
That is a marketing what they're doing for the
Yeah,
company.
or I don't know. Not sometimes they name me by my old company. They still believe I'm working there. How do you tell them? So I used to remember. So I used to work for a company called Blue Star, and so they said, "Oh, hotel," because the star name is there. So it was a hotel. It was actually air conditioning company, but I was not in that division. Then I moved to air conditioning, but I was on their other division, electronics. So I moved to a company called Glen Air, which was the leading paging infrastructure company. But that has got air in it. So they said, "Oh, you're working for an air conditioning company." So now when I was working for an air conditioning company, they said I was working for a hotel. And then when I worked for a company which is with name like Air, they said air conditioning. Then I moved to a company called L'Oreal Orion, and I had this interview for a secretary. Then she called me up and said, "Oh, I love to work for L'Oreal Orion." I said, "Why?" "Because I've been always using their products." She said, "L'Oreal is because my company L'Oreal Orion." So sometimes you have to live with names that stick to you. But now back to you on the subject, on what do you think is the answer for the first one? Yeah, we can do it. Then reactor. Yeah, narrow down. Yeah, get the segment, target them, and position your product. Perfect. 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 Anybody else wants to add on this question?
Sir, I'm confused. So you are the employee sitting in an obscure location in your office with no connect with the marketing and sales department of the company. I mean, what am I supposed to write here? Do you have a marketing role responsibility for your company?
Okay. Okay. Now she is confused, but any one of you believe that you know the answer for that? Yeah. Go ahead. Tell me. 1 minute. Let me get you to speak on this. So that
So, like even HR has a very important role in marketing and bringing a brand value for a product. In case of Southwest Airlines, what they did, and even accounting wherever the cost reduction is there, how we are able to make our product better in the market. So if we have a very good car at a low cost, so that is indirectly helping the marketing guys. But even the people in the production has to support that. Purchase has to support. They have a direct, and they have to maintain the reputation of the product. So they have to maintain that quality, and they should commit to that.
yeah, well done. Your name?
Vinod sir.
Vinod. Yes. Yeah. So the point I was trying to tell was when we began our class, the very first class, do you think you have anything to do with marketing in your organization? Somebody said, I'm HR. What have I got to do with marketing? Somebody said, I have accounts. What have I got to do with marketing? At the end of the day, my idea was to tell you that every one of us is a standing representation of the company that I work. Yeah, you are an ambassador for it. You see this, no? When you get into a very, very simple argument, when a conversation, when you have an argument with somebody, then they say that, hey, why is it you people are educated and you are fighting like this? Isn't it? So they believe that people with education have a certain qualification. So many a time you are the standing face of Infosys, doesn't really matter on what you are doing. And every time you're carrying that brand with you, and you must be careful about it. And many a places, we wouldn't, I mean, like on an unofficial party, we wouldn't want to wear our office t-shirts and go, because the unnecessary, I mean, bad imaging. But the good part of it is, like all these Infosys guys are good guys, or Infosys is a law abiding citizen. How many times have we been impressed initially when you had the bus from Infosys or from Oracle or anybody saying that if this bus guy is misbehaving, you can call us. That shows that we are responsible, and that the bus driver is actually a standing example of who he is. So this was the point that I was trying. So, Fauziya, the answer to you is, in a way, I was expecting you to say that in the last 3 months.
Your voice is not audible clearly.
Yeah, now is it audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the point I was saying was, Over the last 3 months, how much have you felt the importance of marketing? Well done. Why do management gurus believe that B2B marketing is more personal than B2C? What is the answer? One of you can pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So contrary to what we believe, B2B is more personal than B2C. B2B is they like you, there's a conversation, there are very few customers to connect to. And if you don't get along with them, it's all individual. Finally, it's the end of the day, like the individual. Whatever said and done, for the opinion of the individual, for what we carry about them. The next question is, product have life cycles.
So we cannot hear anything. Yeah.
We are not able to hear you, sir. So we can't hear you.
Yes, sir. No. Now it's gone. How do you know?
We can hear you, sir, but little low.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Loud and clear?
Yeah, it's clear, sir.
1, 2, 3, 9, 10. Did you miss anything?
Yeah, in between I missed now so many numbers, sir.
Very good. Yeah, you can hear. Very good. Very good. Okay, perfect. So the question I was asking is, can anybody take a shot? I mean, I haven't made these questions easy. Primarily, I'm trying to complicate it. I'm trying to make it cryptic so that you get a hang of it. It's not a direct question. So the question is, product have life cycles, they are born, grow, mature. Who decides the phases of the product?
Generally, the customer.
Generally, the customer decides the phases of it. And why are these phases very important? Why are these phases important?
That is the base for your business. That's how you understand how the market is.
That is the base of your thing. At each phase, your pricing is different. At each phase, your promotion of the product is different. You know when to stop and move on. When to stop and move on. Yeah, some products are dogs, some products are cash cows and all that. Okay, good. Then what's the next question? Why aren't great ideas always turning out to be great products or money channels? Why is it every great idea a multi-billion-dollar effort?
3 P's and 3 C's comes into picture. You need to know where you have to place your idea, when you have to place your idea, and how we have to place your idea.
Anybody else?
Probably.
Compliment?
It's like a movie that every movie cannot be.
Just because you own one part of it and look at the world from your eyes. I mean, I do some great artwork. I mean, one of the fabulous pictures actually come out of me, but I think they are fabulous, not the rest of the world. So it doesn't really matter if it's your baby. I know every baby is the greatest thing on earth, but if you're not able to connect with your customer, what big are you trying to achieve? So that is your right. 4 P's, 4 C's. Are you in the right segment? Are you in the right market? Why are absorbing stories make better sales for a company? What is the story for that? Why are absorbing stories?
Question is not understood.
It is like, we try.
It creates an emotional connection, sir.
Creates an emotional connection, absolutely.
And then innovative, so that the
Also, when you say something,
Captures the attention of customers.
Yeah, captures. For example, I gave you the Amul ad in which the jalebi is made. I don't know. So what is it's a great story. It bonds you. It connects with you. There is a beautiful positioning of the product. It tells you, like the Fevicol ad. There's so many Fevicol ads. They talk, and we'll talk about the Fevicol ad right after the next 15 minutes. So that was my question. The last thing is, the world has matured. Very complex statement that I tried to make. We no longer fight for the bigger slice of the pie. We often work to increase the size of the pie and still better bake a cake instead. Try explaining this quotation.
Cash cow, like we want to rely on cash cow.
Is that what you think? Okay.
For the second statement there, that
Yes.
we want to bake the cake. That we want to
Sir,
continue.
instead of salary based, we want to just increase our salary instead of going for.
Okay, whatever. I would like to hear. What else?
Earlier, we were competing against, to get more chunk of the business. Now,
We support each other.
yeah, working together creates more opportunities.
Mr. Cheers.
Make a bigger pie.
And give me another answer. What's your name?
Francis.
Francis. Francis, you're gonna go back, think about it, and what did I tell you is the secret of getting marks for my side?
Terms, the-
Okay, go back, work on your terms and give me, I'm waiting for that. Yeah, who was online? Very.
Sir,
Yeah, so we
because because working together also creates more opportunities, sir. Because if we look at the history, as we have been coming together and creating new products or let us say new businesses, the world has seen that it also creates new opportunities or job cycles.
Perfect, very good. So what on the idea that I was telling you is, we don't go after the same segment. We go after a different segment. All of us run behind me. I want to supply you mobile phones. Then one smart guy comes and said, I can give you what is that called? Screen guard. So it's the same market, but it's possible for you to give another product, right? Guys who came up with screen guard, I mean, I was looking for a screen guard, and then the guy said, why don't you buy a cover for it? I said, I have an Apple. I like people to know that I have an Apple, so I'll not buy a cover. So he said, I have a screen guard for the backside. Yeah, so it's all about expanding the market and looking at it. So those were the questions. Now, Francis, over to you. I won't leave you that. And you're very fortunate. I don't take any other class. Yes.
Not getting the right.
Actually, a couple of them told you the answers.
Yeah.
So. Will you send me by
Yes.
WhatsApp? By what time?
Hello, sir. Sachin here from.
4 o'clock.
8 o'clock today.
Sure, sir.
If I don't get it before 8 o'clock.
You know his name.
Those three of them will be removed. You will not say cheers. Okay.
So
Now,
Sachin here.
Yes,
Am I audible?
yes, please.
Yeah, as per this quote, instead of fighting for an increased share
Yes,
amongst
go
the
ahead.
existing customer base,
Here's we-
we better have to extend relevance of the products to new class or segment of customers and continue to sell your products to them.
Perfect, absolutely right. But I would have loved your answer if you had told me, sir, this is an answer for Ansoff matrix. What does Ansoff matrix say? You go back 5 pages. I'm telling you. No, five pages backward, you will have. it. So what does Ansoff matrix say? That how do you increase your market?
Yes.
Go to a new market, add a new product line, give same new products for the same customer. So what does it say? We no longer are fighting for a bigger slice of the pie. We no longer want to serve only dosas. Guys who are serving dosas in the neighboring place, you will find one guy selling you tissues. I mean, I'm just trying to elaborate. You see that, no? Secondary industry is such a big industry. Mobile phones, charger is a big industry. And now Mr. Apple says that I don't even give you a charger. I mean, How disgraceful is
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I buy sir, but you have to buy it.
Exactly.
Paying it.
And on, when I turned 60, my son snatched my phone and gave me, this iPhone. Only for me to spend another 3,000 rupees on the charger. I said, this is not how you give gifts, you know. So, but this is how it is. So that said, let's see who will answer these questions very quickly. Two animals, a star, a question mark. What are we talking about? Two animals, a star and a question mark.
That's a market art.
What is that? What is that?
The missing one.
Now, what is the answer for that? Two animals, a star and a question mark. Fozia, you see, I'm making your life easy just because you said that. Well, who said that?
Yeah, BCG man.
Perfect. I'm sorry, I didn't bring chocolates. Otherwise, I would have gone. Okay. What is the full form of VRIO?
Valuable, rare, inimitable, VRIO, organization.
Okay. What is price elasticity? In your own language, you don't have to.
Insensitivity towards price.
Insensitivity towards price. Okay, what is the full form of MOPT?
Money on the table.
Money on the table. Kiran, you're getting more than a chocolate. Okay,
Yes.
that comes from there. You see, you've got 3 on his t-shirt. I'll pull one and give you. 7 wise men in a buying center. 7 wise men in a buying center. Oh, page 9. But I expect one of you to tell me the answer. 7 wise men. Okay, 5 wise.
7 members of a buying process
Okay, 7
in
members
B2B.
of a buying center.
in business to
Yeah,
business.
yeah, maybe you're thinking right, Fozia. Go ahead, give me the answer.
So you want me to talk about the 7 members? Who are the 7 members?
So, who are they? Who are they?
Initiators, users, influencers, deciders, approvers, buyer and gatekeepers.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, name 3 things in the product line diffusion of innovation theory.
Strategy.
Diffusion of innovation theory. It replaces the old concept of product lifestyle.
Early adoption,
Huh?
late majority,
What is that? Go ahead.
early adoption.
Perfect. Yeah. 1 more, 2 more.
Late majority.
Early majority, late majority, early innovators. Perfect. I'm going to run out of money now. Very good. Well done. 3 types of buys. BUYS. 3 types of buys.
Strategy.
Your chocolate, you buy and give here. Yeah. 3 types of buys. You can go back, refer to your.
Straight buy, modified rebuy and new task.
Okay, you can. Well done, Fozia. Very good. Well done. Fozia,
Yes, sir.
stand by me. Can you Google this?
No. I have copy in front of me. Whatever you taught us.
Okay, 2 differences or 3 differences between B2B and B2C. B2B and B2C, what are the differences?
I have connected with customers in B2B.
Everybody can talk here.
Customer
Hello.
base is too big in B2C.
B2B is,
Rational,
B2C is,
emotional.
perfect, very nice. Anybody else? All right, B2C,
B2B is higher in B2B.
which one?
B2B,
What is higher?
customization.
Customization
I
is
think
higher
there is
in
scope
B-
for customization.
in high, is higher in B2B, okay,
Number of customers.
is higher in B2B.
No, B2C is higher. B2B is lower.
Correct.
B2B is long term. Yeah.
Now, this is, I'm definitely going to give you, now who else can, the coffee shop is open, I'm gonna pick up a chocolate and buy you. Can you complete or give the full form of CAM? No looking at the. Okay, look at the.
Consumption adjusted margin.
Consumption adjusted margin, give me an example. Not the example I gave.
You gave Medimix one,
Yeah, I gave Medimix,
and also the toothpaste you showed us.
yeah, so give me another example of
Consumption of Burger King selling the burger along with the combo.
That is-
combo.
that was-
Example of consumption adjusted margin.
Our salary. Our salary,
How does that work?
we sell, we spend a lot in the beginning of my month end will.
That's not consumption adjusted margin.
Shampoo
That
and,
is,
buy a shampoo and conditioner free.
that's not.
Buy three, get five.
adjusted
Buy
margin.
3 get 5 in Big Bazaar or whatever.
Yeah. so-
Buy toothpaste and get brush free.
No,
That's not
buy
Buy get one.
Then how we die? So we do much longer.
Like buy.
Just buy four.
bottle of shampoo and you get a smaller bottle of conditioner.
No, you got it all wrong. Consumption adjusted margin means, because I realized that I didn't tell you the crux of the conversation. What is margin? What is margin?
Profit.
Margin is the profit that the company wants to make. Now, by selling you cornflakes, by selling you a box of cornflakes, I want to make 10% margin, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely fine. Now, if I sell you the same box at 8% margin, that means I give you a 2% discount. I am losing. Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. But then I tell you, if you buy one box, I'll give you, let's say, if you buy one box, I'll give you 0% discount. But if you buy two or three boxes, let's say, I give you a 2% discount. So now what is happening? Just because you bought two boxes, I am still losing money, right? I'm still losing 1% per box. But that is, I have a margin. What is the next line? Reduction, right? I have a margin reduction. But why am I giving you this? Because you monthly consumption of a box of cornflakes is one.
Yeah, but I.
So at the end of 2 months, what did I say, 3 boxes or whatever, let's say 2 boxes. So at the end of 2 months, you should have actually had the last grain of the cornflakes left with you. But what really happens is in 1.5 months, you will finish off the box.
Yes.
So what have I done? I have given you a margin, but I'm adjusting that margin. I'm adjusting the margin by your consumption factor. Did you get it?
Yes.
This is not buy a shampoo and get a conditioner free.
No,
This
it's
is
saying
no,
buy a bigger shampoo and give a smaller condition fee. So I
no,
mean,
that still doesn't work. That's still, the idea is to make you buy the same product, consume more of it.
Like,
So-
you gave free soap cleaner, one.
Yeah, so the consumption adjusted margin is only on one product. Good. Just like a box of almonds in your house. You walk up and down, you will eat it. But when they go down, or when your relatives come, what do you do? The consumption and the relationship On your mother-in-law comes here, your consumption adjusted mother-in-law. So anyway, good, well done, all of you.
Another example for this,
Huh?
can you give one?
Yes, sir.
Can I give you one more example for consumption adjusted margin?
Why three get one?
Yes.
No, I'll give you what is the example of consumption adjusted margin.
Where we start consuming more just because we have.
Just because you have a sheet full of tissues and here is the example. A box full of tissues in your car
We keep using.
and I even demonstrated it.
Or printer, like you have a
Large
then we don't.
Yeah, we say back to back and things like that. That is consumption. It happens all the time. You have a box of chocolates in your refrigerator, you will be paying. And I said, yeah, if you have plenty of it, you generously donate. Now is the season of mangoes. My wife was crazy about mangoes, but that's consumption. I just say, it depends on how many mangoes are there, you should give it as a gift to somebody. Otherwise, it's okay, tata, all right. So that is how it works. Okay, right? All of you got consumption adjusted margin? And so somebody got it right. Who got it right? You, right? You said consumption. Okay, perfect. Yeah, she will get it for sure. Okay, so now enough of this. We move into, there are lots of chat messages coming out there. What is the answer for why do management? Which is that? Who typed this? Gopi.
Yeah.
What is the answer for why do management? Is there a question called why do management?
Sir, actually, there were two questions were there earlier when we were explaining, so I was unable to get that. So just
Okay,
just
in my list of, okay, management center, I guess. So are you can we go forward, forget this and move?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you share. Now I'm gonna ask you something totally different. Today we will talk only about competition. Today we talk about competition. Something we need to keep an eye on the clock. 2:45, I should be out of this topic. Okay, so now, what are the typical challenges that a company faces? What are the typical challenges in the market that a company? Competition, anything. What are the challenges that you will price? You will not refer to 4Ps. You will not refer to
manpower.
It is, you will only not talk about topics we have discussed so far, but beyond that.
So hiring the manpower talent.
Hiring the manpower is,
As per the product requirement.
okay, fair enough. Anything else?
Technology.
Quality. Technology. Okay. What do you mean by technology? Let's hear it out when you say technology.
So I have a one present one, and some other person has come up with the latest, more advanced way and a more ergonomical product.
Yes, so then what happens to your product?
The demand of my product will go down.
So,
Adding some more features to my product only, he is selling it.
So one way your product can be run into trouble is if technology can come and kill you, right?
Updatation is not there.
Okay, that's one. What else can threaten you? What else can threaten newcomers?
Sir, retaining the customers in the long run is a challenge nowadays.
What is that?
Retaining the customer, sir.
Reaching the customer. Retaining the customer. So customer retention is why customer retention. Okay, fair enough. But somebody said something else. I forgot to write that.
Newcomers.
Newcomers, you say. Newcomers. New entity.
Political issues.
Customer retention.
The political issues.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Political issues. Okay, what else?
Like technology, the industry disruption.
Buying power.
Technology, what is the
Buying power. Social media.
buying power of?
Today it's buyer's market. They decide whether I have to stay in the market or not.
So, a buying power, okay? Buying power. Is it always buying power? Could it be the reverse of it?
Because those days it was there, of course, whatever I sell, you are not that was the case, and now it is not that. So it is when I.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So you don't believe that there is a seller's power. You don't believe it. Okay, fair enough.
Maybe it's hardly in some industries or in some. sectors.
Okay, so we'll just put it there. Anything else?
Regulation.
Regulation is political. Someday, okay, regulation. Okay, what else? Technology, new competition, customer retention. Customer retention is the actual conversation we are having. So customer retention could be challenged by new applications, by technology, by buying power, by possibly seller, and for political and other things. Correct? The question is, how do we retain the customer, or how do I stay in the market? It's the same thing, right? I can't stay in the market if there's nobody buying my product. What else?
A bad impression.
A bad impression, okay. Bad impression. So, anything else?
Being non-innovative,
Huh?
being non-innovative.
The technology or the lack of?
Lack
Correct? Can fight. Anybody else?
Lack of marketing, product knowledge,
Lack, market knowledge or product?
product knowledge.
That's your product, you're supposed to know it.
No, people are not aware.
Yeah, so that's lack of market knowledge. Lack of-
Strategy.
Hmm?
Market strategy.
Lack of market strategy. Market
Lack of planning, lack of proper planning.
proper planning, okay, all that. So,
Poor employee engagement.
Which one?
Poor employee engagement.
Poor employees refuse to work. And
Not getting
again, you
service
have a
From
game theory. Game theory is what? You are not sure. Yeah, this is some of the part of the game theory. Okay. So, Michael Porter said that whatever you said in 10 minutes, Michael Porter took a long time to say that. And so Michael Porter said that there are certain things that happen within it. There's one thing that you didn't mention. How do I get you to mention this? Otherwise, I'll be very happy. You mentioned competition, new competition. You think, I'll try to prompt you with that hint. You think it's always the new competitor who will kill the market? Existing players. Players, so you could have what is known as. The word is. Rivalry or rivalry. Within the company, right? I mean, one airline's not liking another. Feeling it. Airtel, at the end of the day, what did Jio achieve? At the end of the day, they killed the whole business of mobile. Everybody is happy, good salary, all that, all gone. So Michael Porter said, there are 5, 6, 7, I don't know. How many? 5. Because he said 5, we'll speak to 5. Okay. That reminds me of very popular joke. How many Christians are here? Okay, so there's this popular joke which goes about that Moses actually carried 3 of them. One slipped. So what was actually 15 commandments, so landed up to be 10. So similarly, okay, because Porter said 5, let's stick to 5. Otherwise, there are more than 5. There's actually Porter later on added a few more. That's why I said. So, so the idea is that Porter said that in any particular sector, that means in any particular industry, not the entire gamut of the market, but any particular sector, 5 things can kill an industry. Or 5 things can kill a market. What are those things? Perfectly, exactly what you said. Competition, too much of competition. I don't like you, you don't like me, and then we just kill each other. That's it. New entrant. A new entrant will enter the market, and there's so many examples of a new entrant coming into the market. And it happens all the times in the movies, right? It's all going on, and then there's a handsome young hero comes in and All the others are left behind. New entrant can throw out competition. Then technology. Technology is also refers to some kind of a substitute which comes in. Then a new substitute. Then buyer power. A buyer refuses to buy this brand. That's it. I will not buy. So that's it. And he also mentioned that the supplier also is possible for you to kill. Let's look at all of them as examples and why we believe. Huh?
This is where you said seller's power.
That's why I said the seller's power. So then we'll see how it works, in what logic it works, and however it is. But what we will also do is something else. Because this is a management class and this is a management class at Dynamics University, we do it differently. We'll go the way Porter thinks, and we will also contradict what he says, and how do we go ahead and challenge. Right? So we'll do it both ways. So one thing that comes up is, why do you think we need this, is what he said, that the competitive forces, we need to understand what are the competitive forces and then how they influence on each other over a period of time. So he introduced 5 models and all that. I'll leave it to you to read. External forces play an important role. So now the threat of new entrants. This part you can start from anyone. The threat of new entrants. There's always the threat that a new player will come and snatch away the market, right? That is what is called the innovation theory, right? He'll come up with something more smarter. He'll come with an electric bike, and all ICE engines are dead. I mean, theoretically, or somebody comes with some great idea, and we all wonder why we couldn't think of this idea, and he walks away with the market. In a market so fantastically stable and nothing moving, Skype having their own good time and all that, there's a guy called Zoom who comes and just absolutely disrupts the market. And initially, when I was using Zoom elsewhere, I found it very funny. Why would anybody have a website that says zoom.us? Right? I mean, I don't trust it that well, because I'm used to the idea it should be zoom.com.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't get zoom.com, but he picked it up over zoom.us. And now Skype was sitting out there like a lame duck, and he came. So a new entrant can come in, a new entrant can come and destroy your market. Now the contrary question is, then how do you as existing players in the market stop the new entrant? So understand one thing, the question is, a new entrant can come and disrupt the industry and shake it up. Maybe some people will die, some companies will wind up. So that is true. That is what Porter said. Now the contra question is, so what should I and my other partners in that business do to stop the new entrant coming?
Create your own competition inside.
Create your own competition.
Example is the ITC cigarettes. You get a cigarette for 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 15 rupees, 20 rupees. No one can penetrate there and put some other cigarette in it. So they have created their own different brand.
But then there is ITC and then GTC and PTC and RTC, all of them are there. So all of them are in the market, and a new guy called ZTC comes in. So how do you guys all join hands to ensure that new guy doesn't enter the market?
You are talking about a collaboration between different competitors.
Collaboration between them, because he comes in, everybody's thrown out of business. So what do the existing companies do to save the market? Correct situation, right? It happens all the time. Now, what is the rumor? Let's say there's a new airline starting. This is that Akasa Air or something. So let's say Akasa Air was coming. And assuming that it comes from Rakesh Jujunwala, who's got the best brains in town, he's going to come and totally disrupt the market. So what should Indigo do? What should what is it called? Spice Jet do? What should they want to do? No, think differently. Think, what is it that he should?
So what Air India took so much of flights to, sustain it. They had a problem, so they sold it to the Tata Industries. And they are taking so much and investing in a big way. So now they will dominate other.
No, you're not getting my question. How does a group of companies competing with each other, but sitting quietly and enjoying 10%, 15%, 20% market share, react when a new player enters the market? The new player will enter and destroy the market. So how do you stop the new player from entering?
And like, these are like bigger companies and it's a new entry. So they can probably play around with lesser margin, which they can.
They can play or they can lower the cost. Okay, what else can they do?
They can offer together, make a consortium.
Okay, make a consortium.
You all together will decide on how the market should be controlled.
Okay.
This way you have the upper hand and you can control.
Now go back and work on it for another minute or two and give me a better answer.
They can offer a return like
No, I'm gonna keep cutting you very thin on that.
marketing.
No, what do you do?
Analyze the strategy of new entry. Who is entering what? Be strategy, analyzing and
Whatever, ethical, non-ethical.
Jointly make the survival of the new entry little difficult, maybe with rules, regulations.
Okay, perfect. We'll start thinking on the line she's thinking. Make the entry barrier so high that we cannot. What does that mean? Make the challenges to the new player to enter the market so tough that he cannot enter. Example is that you must have, let's assume an airline, right? The example we took was the airline. How do these top 3 airlines stop Akasha from entering? That's the question. Because Akasha is going to enter and it's going to Akasha, Pathala, will all will enter. So how do you do it? To make entry of Akasha very difficult. How? By saying that he must invest at least 10,000 crores company. He must have already flown 20 airlines. He must have already carried 1 million passengers, or he must have applied for a license 3 years back or something like that. So what do? Make the entry barrier so high that it discourages him from entering. This is exactly what happened on the airline. When they can enter the market, they brought a very funny idea saying that they cannot travel, whatever it's called, cannot travel abroad because they must have flown in India for 5 years. And they must have a minimum of 20 aircraft. Who brought in these rules? These rules were brought in by the government, political, using the competition and using the groupism of order. So one is a new entrant can kill you, but if you make the entry barrier high, you can make it difficult for him to enter the market. I hope it is there. There is the threat of entry. So he can enter. So you build a wall so high that he cannot enter. So did you get the first point of conversation? Fortress 5 Forces says a new entrant can kill the market. So what should you do? You should make the entry barrier high. The second conversation was what?
But how does your government support you?
So you join hands with the government. You influence the government.
So yeah, it should have such an influencing
That's
power.
why you should unite with the government. What do you think the government is? The government is for the people. The people. So you see, so that is how it works. Now we discussed trade of new entrants. Now we discussed bargaining power. Now what is bargaining power of the customer? A customer can make the entry, can make you out of business. That means to say, one example I can give you as a very, very interesting example is, Snapdeal. Snapdeal, was it Snapdeal? Yeah. Snapdeal always gives one example of how a particular woman became extremely successful using their platform. It's about a woman from Surat. I don't know if you've heard this. You told this earlier. I have told this earlier. No. Maybe I would have told this. So what you do is that he was trying to sell some of our embroidered sarees. So she went to every shop in Surat trying to convince them to buy it so that they can display it in the showroom for it to be sold. So every person said that we will take it, we'll make 30% margin, we'll only pay you money after the sale is happened. So what is happening? The bargaining power of the customer is becoming so high that she is not able to make a sale. They are just not able to. Then one fine day, she discovered Snapdeal and she advertised her products on Snapdeal, and soon she became 100 crore. So that is the story that they say. So the bargaining power of a customer is, if the customer is so high, if the customer is so strong, then he can bargain that you will have to dictate at the prices that you set. That is the bargaining power of the customer. One more example of that bargaining power of the customer is, let's say, who is the biggest advertisers in the newspapers? Think for a moment and give me an answer. Who's the biggest? FMCG product company. No, there's somebody even bigger. It's the government of India. They're releasing tender advertisements, they're releasing their vaccination ads, they're releasing all kinds of things. Full page, Modi, as long as it's a government of India comment, it's fine. They have actually all this site registration. Sometimes you have sheets and sheets of it, if you have noticed some declaration, all that. So we conclude that the biggest customer for the business of newspaper is the government. Now, assume now the government says, Mr. X paper, you are not following or you are not supporting. So I will not advertise in your. So that is the bargaining power of the customer. The customer is so big that, because you know how newspapers run, they run only on advertising. So now if you don't advertise on it, then it's going to be. So the bargaining power of the customer is very high. Having understood it, now the reverse of it is, how do you stop your customer to bargain and run away? That's the counter thought. What is the counter thought? How do you stop the customer from walking away? Customer says, if you don't give me a price, I'll run away. If you don't follow my advice, I'll go away. But how do you stop that?
By creating scarcity.
By creating
Scarcity of the product itself.
By creating scarcity of the product. Okay, what else?
Creating demand.
Creating what kind of demand?
For example, you can market it as your product is very good compared to others.
I'll give you an example. I don't know, yesterday when we were talking about price increase in the second term or something like that, and how much of you can tolerate and how much of you cannot tolerate. What was the example? All of us will tolerate because it is the second term. It's the same will not apply at the beginning of the course. So what is that you can do? Take a hint from. How do you stop a customer from bargaining? How can you a bargaining power of the customer, and how do you nullify the bargaining?
I mean, by giving all the freebies,
Very alternative than.
He doesn't have an alternative, he has to go there, but the customer is mostly bargaining with you because he has an alternative. The customer is mostly bargaining with you because he has an alternative. Right? So what is the other? Yours is a good answer, but let's go look beyond.
Try him with a discount voucher instead of giving him the real discount, so that next time he has to come and cash it only.
Okay, what else? If he is on a long-term contract with you, if he is in a 5-year contract, the cost of walking away is going to be very, very.
Lock in.
If your customer is locked in for one, you do not do it. You always have this problem, is that every time when I'm trying to move away from my credit card, it says if you move away, you lose your 50,000 points that you owe. So what do? I'd rather continue, and otherwise I move out of those 50,000. So what you do is you make it so difficult for the customer that the cost of bargaining is not really worth it. Are you following me?
So here you are stopping your customer from going out. You're not stopping him from bargaining.
Yeah, you're stopping it from going out, absolutely.
How do you stop it from bargaining?
Bargaining is there. I would correct myself to stop them from the bargaining power. The bargaining power could be anything. The bargaining power could also be moving out. So where was that? Buying power. Customers are really become very, see, they can challenge you. So cost of exit, like somebody said, bring down the prices, increase the quality of the goods, but make the cost of exit very high. Oh, you're sorry, there's a 10-month notice that you have to pay to vacate the house. And so, or you pay 10 months. Then I'd rather stay there. At the end of 10th month, how can you give a 10-month notice, right? That's virtually impossible. Something like that. Is the second point. What is the third point? Where's the third point? Threat of substitutes. Give me an example of threat of substitutes. So a new technology comes in and you get it to be replaced, right? There's always a threat of substitute.
Substitute doesn't have to be a new technology.
Substitute you don't have
Another product by some
it
other.
could be another product, anything. Are you all following me?
Yes.
Huh? See my hand move? Yes. Yeah, because sometimes, becomes fog. Yeah, so it is there at that. Yeah. I know it's always a challenge to stay away, but we'll try. Okay, so what is the threat of substitute? Give me an example of threat of substitute. A technology coming and replacing Tesla, right? Huh? Tesla. Tesla is a threat of substitutes. So he will come and then he will move out.
Substituted by electric.
Yeah, so how do you manage the threat of substitutes?
So Tata, beforehand, they introduced complete electric. Tesla did not enter. And also some this SUV companies like Jeep and MG Hector was then trying to enter India, even Kia. But Mahindra hold their ground in the SUV by introducing new models.
No, that is new entrant. A threat of substitutes is a purely a technological replacement that can challenge you out of business. And I expect that you to answer the threat of substitutes. Or who else do I know is working there? Roughly, where are you working? Pierre, Mr. Pierre. Huh? You guys have to, and you?
I work on financial EMBA finance.
You BNP Paribas, but what do they do?
European bank.
Yeah, bank, European bank, give me threat of subsidies. You have to give me, where did you work? Infosys. Give me threat of substitutes. I'm gonna get there. And where do you use for your watch? Joydeep. Huh? Same thing, Paribas.
So my other threat would be like, for example, we are into share market. So if we are not giving competitive deadlines to our clients, so if they
You go there, yeah.
they get better competitive deadlines from other. So
One thing I have understood, all of you know what is the substitute. I have no question about it. Threat of substitutes. Mr. It's very simple as that. Mr. Ramesh, if you don't teach the students well, you will be substituted by another guy. Okay, sir, I will teach you, I'll be regular in time. But what is it that I have that they cannot put down?
Experience.
No,
Give me
I
a
don't-
selling
I
point.
don't. Give it a thought and give me an answer.
USP.
The threat of substitutes. Especially you both. I have to give this. I might have to go. I have to go. One of you, huh?
No, I'm not.
Where are you from?
I work in a startup called.
You are.
Underlink is from Bueller and Nutshakar is also from Bueller.
इसको क्या कहते हैं?
Marketing, just TV cups.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So yeah, my company provides physical training to kids using virtual characters. So it's a substitute for actual trainers who are there in school.
Correct, correct, correct. But how do your trainers react? You're still not getting my question. You're replacing the trainer, right? So that is the threat. But how does the trainer stay in business?
There is a
That is the question. That is the question that I'm asking you. The question to you, and typically Bueller or anybody else for that matter, is that I'll give you one simple example. If you have, let's say, any machine, let's say Infosys for that matter, you have 500 computers, all working on, all from, let's say, whichever company, Compaq. Now, somebody else comes and says that I'm going to give you another machine, which is going to be another 50 of them. They are from an XYZ. Now, this guy is going to substitute that. But what is going to happen is, who is going to run the support for these 500? When the biggest problem the industry faces, the biggest problem that the industry faces, and the example that I wanted to tell you was, if Bueller has a Bueller, which is that, a rice mill in Bueller, a Bueller customer is a rice mill in Bangladesh.
Space and size are with
No. Let me listen to this. There's a big company called Bangladesh Rice Milling Corporation Private Limited, Bangladesh, Dhaka. Enough? That's the name? Okay. Okay, so they have 50 Bueller machines. They have 50 Bueller machines. And now there is another guy called Bueller who wants to come and sell his product. So what happened? This is a B2B question. I'll tell you why you must take this very seriously. Is that this guy comes in, and that's exactly part of the conversation that we have in the assignment. But the assignment doesn't expect you to answer quotas, 5 quotas, because I've given you, and the deadline is before that. So when this guy wants to bring in the 51st machine from this company called Mueller, you want to tell him it's that this machine will not be talking to our machines. Your computing software will run into a problem because you have a software which is going to run these 50 machines, and this guy is going to talk a different language. Now you will have to invest either on a complete new software, which will look at Bueller machines plus another one, and all that exercise is futile. Just buy my
one more machine from mine.
Are you all following my conversation? Following the same thing. Infosys says that Mr. X bank or Y bank, Paribas, says that all your software are all running on one particular system. And somebody comes and does a new system. It's wonderful, but sorry, I have 1 million customers sitting on my platform. Can I allow them to be doing it? But eventually substitutes happen, but this is how you threaten the customer, saying that don't go for the substitute. You're going to be making it very, very difficult. Are you following me? And the last one is bargaining power of the supplier. What is the bargaining power of the supplier?
He tries to negotiate the price for people.
Like Apple supplier.
Apple charger, they are not, he's not trying to give the charger.
The supplier
will not
support
you with right material and right
price,
and he dictates the price.
So let us first understand the bargaining power of the supplier. What does the bargaining power of the supplier mean? What is, because understand Porter's 5 forces and the contract of Porter's 5 forces. That will give you both of them. So let me really start from Porter's 5 forces and turn it around. He said a new entrant can come and kill the market. A very tough customer can kill your company. A new product can come and damage your business. A very demanding supplier can kill your product. Who is the demanding supplier? Let's say, right now we are facing that problem. Right now we are facing the bargaining power of the supplier.
Sure.
fuel. He's saying that America is saying you cannot buy from these guys. Or Russia is saying, say Ukraine is yours, then I'll supply you fuel. It's the bargaining power of the supplier all the time. Let's say for some reason, you don't, one country is thrown out from another, the bargaining power of the supplier. The supplier says, India, why did India enter into a little complex, but you will understand them in term 3. Why did India enter into a very limited nuclear club? Nuclear club. It's called by some other name. I don't want to complicate it. Is because for India to get the uranium, it has to come from Australia. Now, Australia says, you give it to me in writing that you will not misuse. What is it? It's the bargaining power of the customer. All the time the customer is going to bargain, saying that follow my rules, agree with me, otherwise no H1B visas for your guys. And if okay, ठीक है यार, हाँ बोल दो. And so that is always the buying power of the bargaining power of the supplier. He's a supplier. But how do you stop the bargaining power of the supplier?
Alternative source.
Alternative.
245.
Huh? It's perfect. And on the dot 245?
44, I just.
I mean, yeah, done, over. No, huh? Okay, so you got all of them right?
Yes.
Everyone, what is competition rivalry within the industry? What is that? That's the easiest part. Competition rivalry within the industry.
How do we challenge?
How do you challenge that? By substitutes? I no longer look for uranium, I look for solar energy, I look for any other alternative. In fact, all the slides are here. I'm just that, yeah, we'll find them here. Buying power, suppliers power, managing, developing other sources. The supplier has the power to sell his product at a higher price. Look at the thing, you're virtually begging him. And then you go ahead and say, develop other sources. That's what we are slowly trying to do. We're slowly trying to move away from our dependency on fossil fuel by encouraging people. It's a longer process. Okay. And then what is that? What is this particular one? What is rivalry among them? It's very easy.
For example, we were doing business earlier, like 15%, 17% margin, but now we are starting to do business even at 10 and 8%. We are ready to go till 8% because our competitors are offering like 4 and 6. And then we thought this doesn't work. We have to stick to a particular number and then bring in a differential factor.
Bring in a differential. That's what is happening is, everybody follow what she's saying. She's saying everybody was happy. All of them were doing 9, 10%, 17% and all that. But all of a sudden, there's infighting going on between the IT companies. And as a result, they are all losing out in the market. The market is crowded. The customer is too demanding now. Earlier, the customer was not educated. The problem is, in a rivalry market, we educate the customer more than it's necessary. Now they'll ask, especially, I mean, I can't name all of those companies, but they are one of the latest mobile operators. So I hope you know who I'm referring to. So, but then if you try working with that company, they're going to bring all suppliers, they learn from us, and then they teach us how to sell. So that is how it works. So now, how do you compete this? How do you solve the problem? So competition within the rivalry can result in low margins and the almost the depth of the thing. Now, how do you stop that?
So for the same example that I gave in 2017, we formed a new unit, 2 new units actually, new units within Infosys, and I was part of one of the startups of that unit. So one of the unit was to focus on improving the internal productivity. Like now that I have a customer and I have already won a deal, I want to improve the productivity of it so that during renewal I'll be able to offer They're much lesser. And then.
That is when you are handling the
And-
problem
Correct,
within you.
And
But
second
how do
one,
you handle the bigger problem?
yeah. and
They're
the
all
second-
together.
Yeah, second unit, we started 2 units, and the second unit, what we started was AI and automation, and I'm part of that unit, I moved into this. So there we started investing on innovation, building solutions, understanding
So
the
you
market.
created a substitute.
Yes.
You created a substitute. Very good. Great examples. Well done. But the point I'm trying to ask you is, how do you solve this problem? How do you solve this infighting between Infosys and TCS and which one? Because all of them, how do you solve the problem?
So reduce the initial cost.
No, no.
Initial cost, then increase the servicing cost.
What's that?
Reduce the initial, because one of the company did that.
No, rivalry within the industry. All airline companies don't.
Eliminate some of them, sir.
So you're saying, how do we?
Buy it and share it. What Pepsi did to Torino.
Torino, things like that. That's fair enough. That could be one way of looking at it. So what you do is that what happens in such a situation is the most dangerous thing that happens. Is that there is friendship within the business. TCS talks to Infosys, Infosys talks to Accenture, all of them talk. And they decide that we'll all go to one. This act of joining hands, of coexistence, of enemies becoming friends, because they want to drive the industry, is known as cartelling. Cartelling. C-A-R-T-E-L. Cartelling. Cartelling is when all these companies unite unethically to quote one price. Have you ever tried to book an air ticket? All air ticket prices are very similar, but one guy is saying I am low cost, one guy is saying I will nothing. They all join hands together. If you look at it, all hospitals joined hands together during the vaccination or the COVID thing. Every one of them joined hands and they were having a billing structure which was on there. The biggest thing is all vitamin companies, all companies, there are lots of examples, all companies joined hands together and said the cost of vitamins is going to go up by 5x. But there was nobody to question because they all joined hands together. Everybody mile hue hai. Then how do you do this? This is what happens within the industry. There is telecom regulatory or no, what is it called? TRI. TRI is the regulator. TRI is the guy who's managing it, not the word TRI. COI, consortium of mobile COAI or something it's called, of all mobile companies. So these guys form a group. That's the most dangerous thing. So we've discussed Porter's 5 forces. Yeah, we've discussed Porter's 5 forces where you have some kind of the 5 elements that are being talked about. Let me just explain. Threat of substitutes is there. The last one, yeah, criticism of the 5 forces, the alternate sources. Let me see if I can give you that example. Threat of entry, competition rivalry. Yeah, competition rivalry, combined lobby with the government. Combine and lobby with the government. They lobby with the government and say, increase the, lower the duty, make it this one, make sure that something happens all the time. So we're done with Porter's 5 forces. Any discussion on that?
So other than this cartel, is there any other strategy, like everybody else thinks and go to the same side? Is there anything else that they can do in the?
They can go and work with the government and say the increase the prices. Allow us to quote at a higher price. But it's all basically cartelling. Basically, the word is cartelling. Companies joining hands together and articles on cartelling, if you like, so many articles on cartelling. How cartelling happening right in front of you. Insurance companies might be cartelling. Yeah, all the time. So there is a company called CI, Competitive Controlling Authority of India or something. So they will,
It is a Competition Commission of India, sir.
yeah. So they will look if companies are doing any mischief together. So it happens all the time.
Cartelling.
They look for companies which are doing cartelling. For years and years together, Korean Airlines and Japan Airlines joined hands together to cartel, to increase the flight tickets between Korea and Japan, a very, very strong travel route, very close to each other. Both of them increased the travel flights by so much that it became so expensive. 5 years later, 6 years later, they found out that Japan Airlines and Korea were cartelling. They were fined billions of dollars for such act of cartelling. It happens all the time. There is a lot of mischief that happens. And if you read about cartelling, it says that the competing companies don't meet with each other in any of the offices. They meet in airports. One guy is taking a flight from point A to point B and a transit place. They meet with each other because that's the most commonest area and they do this. Cartelling. The biggest cartelling is the diamond business. If I tell you this, you will stop buying diamonds. The whole diamond industry is controlled by a company called De Beers. They control it. So if you don't join hands with De Beers, they'll kill the market for you. So the cost of diamonds is such manipulated by that company. There's a very interesting story about how an Israeli company tried to challenge it, but there are a lot of news. So we'll take a break now. I think it's time to take a break. We'll come back and we have another 1.5 hours. Is that right? And we'll do a lot of okay. Right?
You won't take a break 1.5 hours, but if we take a break,
How's that?
3 o'clock.
Yeah, so yeah. This is the last class. We can go till 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Enjoy your class. You will enjoy your class, right?
There's no cartelling going on. No. It has one already. Yeah, which the canteen is open. It should be. Or let's go out.
Yes, sir. Okay. It's a cooler.
Hmm. Ah. And 46 no class of the children now. I know. बाद में होता है वो सब आना और सरकार वेस्ट का आराम से ओके ఏం లేదు అంత Next question here. I have 2 more minutes. Yeah, go ahead, yeah. Very easy and toughest question, I would say. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ರಾತ್ರಿ 12 ಗಂಟೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಖರ್ಚಿಗೆ ಲೀವರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಕಮಿಷನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಾನೆ. Okay, let's start. Okay, everybody has come. Oh, no. Let's start fast. Otherwise, by the time you go to be 8:39.
No, we don't need them.
You don't need,
Now you don't need mine.
that's what he said.
Yeah. It was good actually. Yesterday's session, we were able to hear the people from the class.
Also,
Yes.
okay, so yeah, good. That's better for him. Actually, one.
Others we used to only hear to the lectures and when the people
I
were
know.
talking to us, they go blank.
See, in some part of it, I am responsible for all that. I'm not supposed to do all this. I'm not supposed to, because I was also be empathetic to the fact that there is a lot of online students. Yeah, one more thing is I would.
One more camera other side.
That should have been there,
Yes.
so that is what it was. I remember there was a guy in the previous term who had his mobile with the camera on all the time. So anybody could also log into that to see it.
Yeah.
So I was also saying the camera here would have been nicer.
Yes.
But I guess we'll eventually get it. Okay, anyway, so good to start. I guess we will start. Right? Now we are going to do 2 subjects. One is called branding. Any idea of what is branding? Any idea of a brand?
Making your product famous in a particular name or a logo so that everybody remembers you and your product by that.
It may not be like product itself.
Brand, sir.
It's like getting a bit buy something, they give a packet which they have their name on it. So it's like not only you know that you have bought the item from the particular shop, the other also get to know, okay, you have been to such.
Correct. I remember on my first trip to London, I stayed with somebody, you find the cheapest ways to stay. when your company pays. And so even then, they took me to a place called the Harrods, which is a very, very famous shop. I didn't like anything in that. Why? Because they give you a Harrods bag. And then you take the bag and walk around. So that is what it is. But on your topic, I have a very big argument every time with West Side, Shoppers Stop and all that. They ask me, sir, do you want a bag?
Yes, and they charge for it.
I said, you have no right to charge me for a bag which is.
You
it
were
says-
branding for your.
Yeah, I should pay for you for the, give me a plain bag, I'll give you. But you can't give me a Shoppers Stop bag
And charge me for that.
Yeah, I carry it, right? That is really,
20 rupees, 30 rupees. Yes.
So this is I used to be with one, I used to go for an exercise at one place, the older place, what is called music and puzzles or something like that. And then I moved to the gold gym. So I was carrying that music and puzzles gym bag. So one person I came and said, sir, I will do, don't bring it back. It was very, because I said, you give me, no, sir, that is not included. I said, you make up your mind. I said, okay, never mind. So that of course is branding effect. So we look at a lot of brands and see how they look at.
I just want to give a
Go
funny
ahead.
example here, like in my son's school, they said, you are our brand ambassador.
Yeah.
So you come up with an idea of branding, asking me. So what my son did is that he stitched his old shirt, which had the Christ logo and Christ secretary from the bottom and took it the next day like a handbag with water bottle and tiffin boxes.
Oh, so that was the way of converting a t-shirt into a brand. That's very nice. That's very, okay, by the way, I sent you all that, the nursery, right? Yeah, I was just, but none of you have, I heard this before?
Today it's a different.
But you can also grow up listening to this.
We were more into line by line.
I mean, it's really, I can also give you a yeah, so now, let's see how active you are and get this going. Oh, buddy. These are brands, start naming them. Absolutely. Which one do you know? Which one you know?
BMW. You know, like Mitsubishi, okay. BMW.
Adobe, Microsoft, Accenture.
Microsoft said BMW. What is B5? B5?
ATT company, sir.
B5?
ATT.
Titan, ATT or ATT or T-Mobile? What is B6? Mitsubishi, what is C6? I think you got everything, right? C5. C5 is NTT. Nippon Telecom, I think. And C4. Capgemini. There you go. Sir, what is 5? C5. At one time I had the answers to it, but I think this is NTT. Nippon Telecom or something. NTT. This one, AT&T. AT&T. AT&T, you don't know? AT&T. Full form of AT&T. American Telecom, AT&T. Okay, very good. Well done. A1. What is A1?
British Petroleum.
British Petroleum. I'm supposed to be asking you the question. Oh, what about these?
Manish.
Telecom, Canara Bank. Very good.
Reliance.
And they are Aadhaar exercise.
ISRTC.
Post office.
Colors.
Smart kids. Smart kids. Very good. Well done. I normally.
HP.
Oh, you said, I normally keep this and say, whoever answers this, they may not have to write the exam. So, this is. That's it, we are. So this is what is the brand. At the very fact is that, can you be quiet there? Can you be quiet there? It's very disturbing. It has to be, any conversation has to be in this direction. Let's try.
B-line second one, and you don't.
B-line second one.
ARCTC.
Okay, so it's. Relax. Okay, now enough.
Aadhaar.
Got it. I know you can communicate one. Yeah, so. Okay, we don't bother too much about it. This is just to create an awareness of how a brand does to your mind. So this is what's a brand. Let's also look at how brand evolves. Let's look at how a brand. Look at this. It's a beautiful example of how a brand evolves. Nike in 1971, Nike would have a swoosh and a Nike. By the time they come into the recent one, you don't even have to mention the name Nike. Just the swoosh is enough for you to tell that this is Nike. That's it. That's how a brand should evolve. You just see a swoosh, it reminds you of a pair of shoes from Nike. That is the power of brand. And now we look at how branding evolves. I'll give you one more example, the brand, and then we can move further. Look at McDonald's. How has McDonald's evolved? As you can see, look, over a period of time, just the golden arc, or the golden arches as they are called, is all that you need to know. And if you're driving on a highway and you see, what happens to you? Absolutely, you start feeling hungry. And that's all they have to do, is they show you the brand and then you will land up. Absolutely fine. But there's a very unique situation that McDonald's faced in India. They wanted to enter India in 1999 and they opened an outlet in Bangalore. They said, sorry, you cannot open an outlet in Bangalore because you are copying my logo. They said, what do you mean? MC Mallappa and company said, our logo, their logo was actually the you are copying our logo. Well, the battle went on between MC Mallappa and McDonald's for almost a year. They went to court. That's a crazy situation. Finally, of course, McDonald's was able to demonstrate that, sorry, gentlemen, we've been having this brand for the logo for a long time, and MC Mallappa had to change their logo to something else. So the power of brand, the power of logo is so very, very important. So what we will do in the next 20-30 minutes is look at what this branding is all about and why should we care a damn about branding. So what is a brand? How does branding work? These are the conversations that we have. What are the advantages of What are the advantages of a strong brand? What is brand equity? And then we spend some time talking about brand extensions versus evaluating brand extensions. Yeah, whatever. These are the topics that we will talk. Now, this is discussion roles and advantages of a brand. There is a discussion. So give me some advantage of a brand.
It gives the identity. of
It
the-
creates an identity, it creates appetite in you, if it's a McDonald's brand or a Starbucks brand, you see, what else the other brand do?
Trust.
What is it? Customer relationship.
Attention.
The more you spend answering these, the more PPT slides I'll be skipping. That's good. And I'd like to skip all of them.
And Apple branding means that quality, all that.
So you have branding defines quality in some extent.
Like Rolls-Royce, so they have a
Reliability,
Rolls-Royce, they have that symbol as their one of the major support.
correct. The very fact that you see a RR, if there are, and that is.
They have a patented design, nobody can copy it.
There you go. You try catching hold the Rolls Royce thing on the hood, it'll go inside. Beyond that. Then what? And then,
Brand stands for the core values of the company.
no, what, can you repeat that?
Brand stands for the core values of the company. It reflects the core
Brilliant.
values. of
An
the-
example of that, brand stands for a core value of the company, example?
It could be Nike also, because
Yeah,
Nike,
it could be Nike, it could be Tata. The very fact that you see a Tata logo, I mean, how impressed are you depending on what you are? Yeah, but it's definitely symbolizes a lot about that company. It talks to you about the company, and so they care a lot for the brand. Brand is something that they take quite a lot seriously. Anything else that you think a brand gives you? One
It
topic,
increases the business.
it
Increases the business.
work on that statement. Work on the
Customer,
statement.
it increases the customer base.
Okay, a little bit
It
more.
attracts more customers.
It attracts more customers. What else? What did we discuss yesterday? So what else does a brand do? I gave you a hint. What was yesterday all about?
Price.
So what does the
Price.
Increases the price. Allows you to charge more, right? And Maya's dosa versus
coffee versus
coffee.
Apple versus Samsung.
Apple versus
Orange.
yeah, whatever. Great. What else? And then I possibly have a Bueller. I think there is a Bueller thing on it. So the role of a brand, it identifies the maker. It simplifies product handling. Very simple, right? You don't have to spend too much of time advertising if the brand itself is a major source of advertisement. Then it organizes accounting. It's very easy for you to look at the way your branding is positioned. It signifies quality. It creates barrier to entry. Obviously, right? I mean, you can't beat an Apple brand when there's another product sitting next to it. It serves as a competitive advantage. And it gives you a price premium. But I'm willing to give a 15% more if it comes from like any of the popular brands and things like that. So advantage, same thing. Lots of more advantage creates perception of the product, greater loyalty. I'm always an Apple, Apple, make sure that an Apple to Apple, they talk more nicer than Apple to oranges or whatever it is. So they do a good job, right?
But now they are coming out of it. Because of that, they are losing some.
They are losing some customers.
Their watch connects to other phones.
Less vulnerability to competing marketing actions. They can do that. Less vulnerable to crisis, larger margins, more inelastic. More inelastic means you can be tough. You can be tough. I refuse to reduce my prices because I am Starbucks. Or I am Apple. That is the arrogance that you can bring to your thing. Then greater trade cooperation. I think everybody wants to talk to Apple and make sure Apple is manufacturing in India, things like that. Increases market communication effectiveness. How much does Mr. Empire, whatever that restaurant has to spend to advertise that he has a restaurant on Mysore Road. He has to say best biryani, best thing. All McDonald's has to do is put one logo. And automatically you know. That is all it does. It improves marketing, communication, effectiveness. That's it. Just an M is all that you know, and you know the entire menu which is there. Even before you've gone there, you've made up your mind what to eat. So that is what it does. Possible licensing opportunity, yeah, maybe you can lend the brand to somebody else and all that. It's all of you must understand that the marketing management is an 18-hour class that I do with you. And branding itself could be an 18-hour class. So as much as possible, I'll give you a crux of it, and we'll not get too deep into it as much as possible because we'll get that going. Attributes of a strong brand: deliver desired results, understand customer brand relationship. All of that is fine. You can read through it. Let me get into the crux of the matter. Brand identity. They use colors. They use in the name, logos, trains employees. I'm still thinking about the fact that the three of you identified that logo of my company. I was very impressed by the fact that I used to always wonder, but that's very smart of you. It's still running in my mind. Yeah, so then anyway, use colors, crafts the language and whatever. This is something that for you to read about. Now let's classify all of that. Every brand is about position. Every brand is how do you position your brand. The script is for you to read. I'm not going to get into too much of script reading. You will read that. But I'll tell you the story here. Look at a Coke versus a Thumbs Up. What is the message that a Coke has conveys? Family, bonding, joining other for Diwali, Deepika Padukone bringing a Coke bottle, and then Ranveer Kapoor saying no, or something like that. So where is that? What is the brand of Thumbs Up? Challengers. Challengers, go out there, jump from the mountains or whatever. So, but why are they doing it? Mountain Dew, that is Mountain Dew. But you know what? It's a lot about taco image. It's like strong. Anything else? Somebody was saying anything? Okay, anyway. So you see, we have two competing products. Which one? Coke versus Thumbs Up. And then a guy comes up with Red Bull and says, I am a different game altogether. It's the same thing. It's the same. Maybe the composition of thing could be just about the same. Maybe a little bit coffee thrown in. Other than that, but he's saying, I am a different ball game altogether. You start flying. It became such a big issue. It became such a big issue that he had to modify it to say WIINGS. You don't have wings. You have, because they thought you really get wings. Yeah, so that is what it is. So that is the one. But look at this brand positioning in this place. It's very cluttered, very cluttered. What is Tata Motors telling you? Indian, efficient, power efficiency, performance, reliability. Whereas quality possibly, I don't know what quality. 5-star quality. 5-star quality, yeah, cost efficient. Maruti Suzuki, very simple, right? Inexpensive, conservative. Yes, yes. Whereas Rolls Royce or Audi will say expensive. Rolls Royce will say expensive, conservative. Yes. Whereas Audi will say expensive, sporty. In or whatever. In all this battle, Tesla is a stand. Let them say whatever they want. Let them say whatever they want, but I am a different one. So you see how each one of them are positioning, and then there is a standalone brand. So this is what brand positioning is about. What is the message that you're conveying? And who do you think you're conveying the message? Here, it's all a clutter. But the kind of message Tesla is saying, no brand, no thing, youngster, you anybody, they have, we are a brand which fits it. So that's what is all what brand position.
Don't you think he's not targeting them?
He's targeting all of them.
That's what marketing says, don't target everyone.
No, but he's saying I'm different.
Yes, yes.
Marketing, see, I don't know if you ever read my first slide, said that in every generation, there is a maverick. There is a guy who comes into this world who has a crazy behavior. One of those crazy behavior was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said that I don't care what you think. I know what you think. He said, I'm beyond all of you. He was the guy who had the guts to remove a drive from his computer. And the other day, my colleague comes back and says, Ramesh, I have a pen drive, what to do with it? The pen drive on my new computer, it takes a seat. How do you connect that? And for all you know, Apple may be so sensitive that you don't buy an Apple product, it will not even talk to each other.
Yes.
And he removes everything. I mean, every drive, but he has the authority to do it because not every generation gets a Steve Jobs. Not every generation gets an Elon Musk who can think differently. This, you know, the very famous statement of Henry Ford. He said, if I ask my customer, what do you want? He's going to say, I want faster horses. They don't even know what is automation. They don't even know what is a car. How will they accept the product? So these are standalones. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But in a marketing class, you're not supposed to be a standalone because there's only one in a million who can be a standalone. But this is how the market is. I hope I'm able to give you an answer on that. Then the role of a brand, it identifies the maker. You know what is Tanish? You know what is Tata, Intel Inside? And this tells you, what is that? Yeah. And then what is this brand?
Yes.
T. What do they do?
Payments.
UPI payments.
What happened to that? Gone? Perfect, perfect. You know, there's something that there's so much of learning. Listen, quiet. There's so much of learning that I get from classes. And this is the best example that I get. I have been teaching now for I don't know how many years here, and I haven't changed this slide. The very first day onward, this slide remains. So I assume that I've been teaching for 5 years now, or how many years since the pandemic? Whole world is influenced by pandemic. 3 years. 3 plus 1. So I've been teaching for 4 years. 4 into 3 is about 12 terms I've been teaching. Initially, when I would ask them, what is this brand? Everybody knew it was Taste. Then there's a huge dip. Nobody was able to answer the brand Taste. Now I have coming like this. You guys have actually been able to hit right here. Last class also they were able to hit. This is very unique because there is a small generation of people who can't recognize place, but there's a new set of generation. Actually, you are not supposed to recognize it because you are younger than the other groups. But that's a unique. But why is Taste here? What happened to Taste? It got replaced by Google Pay. So why didn't Google Pay start with Google Pay?
They did not want to lose that value which has already been created by this logo.
By which logo?
No, but the new
No.
concept was coming to the market, so they maybe a trial, maybe they wanted to see how successful it would be.
Yeah, because let's assume that something happens to Taste, and then it's a financial gateways are very tough. WhatsApp is still struggling. How many of you are using WhatsApp payment gateway? Not a single. How many of you are using WhatsApp? Every store. Paytm got so scared about WhatsApp coming in that they started introducing a chat in their own payment gateway. They said WhatsApp is going to come and kill their payment gateway. And there's somebody called PhonePe and Google who comes from nowhere and kills it. So now, assuming that the Google Pay did not work, it could be a great impact on the brand Google. So they tested it out with Taste. And one fine day they said, "Chalo guys, to tell you the truth, Google is nothing, but Taste is nothing but Google." So that is the role of the brand. Then the role of the brand is it gives you competitive advantage. Indigo versus Singapore Airlines. You know, which is a better brand? It's just a thing. Indigo itself believes that we are a brand. We stand for time, right? In Indigo, you don't expect the flight to be late. Generally. Then Singapore says we're the best service and nothing like that. And brand Evian. How many of you know what is Evian? Evian is the best. It pay, I don't know how much. 210.
20.
Yeah.
120 or 140.
120 or 130 compared to 10 rupees or 15 rupees.
Of liter of distillery.
Yeah, but that's Evian. I can demand a better price. So competitive advantage, better pricing. What else does a brand?
You won't get it everywhere, sir.
You won't get it anywhere. You need to be careful. There was a McDonald's ad that I wanted you guys to see it, but it's okay. I think I will skip that. Brand architecture. We'll talk about 4 things in the brand. How do you build a brand? What is the framework of the brand? 4 things that come in is extension, product, endorsed, and monolithic. Let's look at all these 4. The first one is watch the, I'm supposed to give you this ad. I think I'll rather, you have to see. Otherwise, you won't enjoy it. How do I do this?
Copy this URL and open it.
Control
click.
Or you want to
click it
later?
Control click करके हो जाएगा.
Where is that? Yeah. What is that? Control.
Control and click on that URL. Click low.
Sir, is that Windows PC?
No.
Okay, you have to see that. But wait, I'll get that.
I think you should copy and Google Windows page. Google Safari.
This video is blocked in your country. What is your?
What are you asking?
Okay, not a problem.
Are you putting it in WhatsApp group?
No. I think because this is very important. No, don't call anybody. Yeah, I think. How do I say this? Okay, I think we'll forget where I need to really move on. Most importantly, how many of you have seen that ad of Jaguar? wherein a guy walks in and he says, what is happening? And there are a lot of boxes out there, and it says that under meeting chal raha hai. And it's already about, he assumes that this is about a, but I think I have to show you that. Otherwise it won't work. Jaguar.
Jaguar, the
Fittings.
fitting, yeah.
Let me pull that and share it on the link so that you can see that and give me a comment. We can move on that. Show me the. No, the other one. Yeah, pick that up. Yeah. And share that to the group. Yeah. Yeah, so you guys, can you see that? Actually, I can.
Sir, is it about Jaguar office lighting, sir?
Yeah. I think he has sent you that. Thank you that. Wait, 1 minute. I think I got the thing. Let me share it here. Let me share it here. Yeah. You got it there? Okay, see this.
So no volume, sir.
Yeah, volume will not come.
You make it play from your mobile.
Yeah, but anyway, I think you can see the ad. I think you can hear, no? Yeah. Okay, so you saw the ad. What is the ad trying to convey?
Lighting, sir, lighting, good lighting.
What is that?
Within their existing brand.
So the idea is that Jaguar as a brand is known for its bathroom fitting. So, but what they are now doing is they have now introduced a new line of products, which are electric fittings. So what they are doing is they are taking advantage of that huge brand quality that they have, or the brand following that. There's nothing like a Jaguar fitting, right? That's the best. They're moving you to think about a new product line.
So that also they might be saying, trying to say that how you have trusted the existing one, you should trust a similar way that.
Absolutely. So you have to look at this as a brand extension. There are two ways in which it happens. Listen to me carefully here. What you saw was the brand Jaguar has a great reliability, trust, and all of that. They are using that brand to bring in a new line of products, a totally new line of products. That's nothing to do with any of the water accessories. It's to do with electric. Actually, water and electric will never get along together, right? It will. So what is being done is that you use an establishing brand and develop a new product line that is known as brand extensions, where you use the called a line extension. What is a line extension? When Swiggy which was earlier delivering you food, also delivers grocery. He's still in the same business, but he's expanding his business. He's not doing something totally new. When let's say a shampoo company introduces a hair conditioner or a color dye or something, they are in the existing business, they are expanding the product line. It's the same product, expansion of the line. FedEx getting into office supplies and FedEx getting into freight is a line extension. But if FedEx says that I'm shipping you, let me also give you some other totally different product, that's a brand extension. Canon does all kinds of photo equipment, but they also do printing. That's a different thing. You have what is known as a product extension versus a brand extension. So 2 points to remember is line extension versus brand extension. Needless to say, you will get a question on this. Okay, so what is brand extension and line extension? What do you do? It's very easy for you to take advantage of a big brand that they have and extend the brand into many things. There's so many. Now Jio is a big brand. So now Jio is getting into Jio
Cinemas.
Jio Cinema. Reliance is a big brand, but Jio is a different line of activity. So Reliance is known for all kinds of products, and all of a sudden you have Reliance Communication. That would be a brand extension. Jio getting into a lot of other related to the mobile would be line extension, where you are using the same mobile
You will say
connectivity.
Geo Cinema was a line extension or a brand.
Well, it's mostly a extension of the line because it's still sitting on your mobile. It's there are thin lines of you. I know what you're saying. Geo Mart. Where does Geo? But Geo Mart would definitely be a brand extension because Geo Mart, you're very familiar with the word Geo, so you get into it. But Geo Cinema is a debatable thing because it is actually going to land either on your phone or on your television, which is connected to a Geo cable. So, but there are thin gray lines of conversation. It's just to give you an idea of what it is. So companies,
Example also come under brand.
which one?
Reliance, like they are into again trends.
Absolutely, that is 100% brand extension. Reliance Jewelry, Reliance Footwear, Reliance whatever, Reliance Insurance. All of them. Reliance Insurance, I guess, is the other. Anil Ambani. Yeah, so you know what is brand extension versus line extension. Another example of brand extension would be the
Amazon Prime.
Huh?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime is a
They were in shopping business, they entered into it.
enter into it, but it still depends on, as long as you understand the example, it's good enough. It could be both ways. It could be Prime because people who are logged in can also watch it, and it's called funders under the same thing. But a best example of a brand extension would be Ola getting into electric. They're totally two different markets. But the wonderful name that Ola has created, they're trying to bank on it to move into this. What is the time? Oh my God. Now you have product extension. If you look at a company like Hindustan Liver or Procter & Gamble, what they do is they don't have a single brand. There are hundreds of brands. You have brands like Tide, you have Duracell, you have Old Spice, you have Crest, all of them. And many a time you may not even know that they come from Unilever or they come from Procter & Gamble, and they also don't want you to know it. They want you to know whether it is a, because each one is a product and each product has a brand. Tide could be a good set of products for washing purposes, or you could have Old Spice for a series of shaving creams and things like that. That is product extension. But some companies have a different philosophy. If you look at 3M, 3M has all kinds of names to their products. It's got Post-it, it's got Scotch, it's got Thin Insulate, it's got Nexacare. Nobody looks at the brand per se. They look at the endorsement called 3M. I look at the product and say, oh, it's a 3M. That's the only confidence that I want. They could have hundreds of products. product. But as long as it's got that 3M stamping on it, you feel confident about it. So you have either a product which is very powerful or the endorsement of the company. Like, for example, Intel Inside. The very fact Intel Inside tells you that's an endorsement on the computer. I don't care which computer. Oh my God, this is Intel. So that is the kind of comfort feeling that you get. That is it. Then you have what is known as another option, which is monolithic. Monolithic is they just don't have any sub-brands. Doesn't matter if it's an LG washing machine or if it's an LG phone or it's an LG refrigerator, it's always just LG. They don't have sub-brands. Sharp, Panasonic, Sanyo, Samsung, no sub-brands. Samsung refrigerator, Samsung thing, there's just one big brand called Samsung or LG. They have one monolithic brand. There are no sub-brands for that. Each customer or each company has a different way of looking at it. Then you have one more, which is known as which one?
Most of the brands are monolithic.
Fine, I just give you an example of brands which are not monolithic. I gave you Tide as an example. So many of them, they have sub brands within their own thing. But there are quite a few which have just one name. Like Reliance itself has got Vimal, Reliance has got Jio now. So it depends on how you want to project it. What is it that you are trying to do? LG may not even believe in the concept of just we live with one brand, and that is good. Then it's a fine slide, hybrid. These brands are so different that you may not even know. You may not know that Ritz-Carlton is also the same group as Marriott. Or Ritz-Carlton is the same group as some other company. They have a very hybrid kind of brands, and each brand is not associated with the other. They kind of support it very differently. Then we have a last subject called brand equity. What is brand equity? The very name Kingfisher. What? There's a value for the brand even though the company is dead. So, in a larger sense, for example, Kelvin. So the feeling is the brand itself has value. They are not, the new owners haven't killed the brand because there's a great value for the brand. For example, Udupi, at one time they used to say Udupi Hodu. I mean, who actually owns the brand? Nobody owns the brand, but then there's some kind of a brand equity. The moment you say Udupi, and earlier it used to be SLVs, or earlier it used to be Darshanis. So you just create a kind of a brand equity. The equity that Google has, huge, right? I mean, the very word Google itself brings in a lot of money. So this much on branding, and one last topic we have to do, and we are done. Right? All of you tired? No. You think I'm tired?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with the last of the conversation. This is our last one. 13 slides in 13 minutes, 32 minutes, 30 minutes. We don't know. We'll do it slowly. No hurry. Oh. We're talking about competition. It's actually, they say, it's the art of war rather than the art of business. Competition is such a dirty thing. People, companies fight with each other to such a great extent that they're willing to bleed, willing to do all unethical practices just to have control over the market. So for you to understand this, let's begin by a very primary thought process, is that what is the objective of every company?
Make money.
Make money. Very simple. Every company has to make. I have to be profitable. I have to, the main goal of every enterprise is to profit from its activity, correct? And every year I should make more money, more and more and more, and attract new clients. Simple, right? I have to make more money, I have to be profitable, I have to attract more clients. Now, growth is the oxygen of any organization. If you're not growing, you're dead. But how do you grow? Growth only comes at the cost of the competitors. I know we discussed saying that we can expand the pie, we can expand market share, we don't bake pie, bake cakes and all this, but all that is fine. But eventually you have to fight your competition. So it's only when you fight and get your customer to move from Airtel to Jio or to move from Ola to Uber, that is the only way you can survive. So now, some competitors, growth will only come when you enter the rivals market, when you enter somebody else's business. That's the only way you can go, right? There's no other way you can grow. All that initial conversation is fine. But what do you think the competitor is going to do? He's going to sit and say, okay, please now take my market. आपके लिए तो इंतजार कर रहे थे, क्यों देरी कर दी and all that. You think he'll do that? No, he's going to fight. And they are going to hit you back so strongly sometimes that you will make a mistake. It was a bad idea to enter the competition. So now we are going to look at paint, gambit, plan, onslaught, and contest are the 5 methods in which the fight happens in the battle. Right? Now, what are these? Let us look at them in one order. Now, this is a slide that you will read, and I'll simplify this slide by this particular market. Now, attractive to you, competitors reactive. Are you following me? Is that, let's assume a new market. That new market, oh, I think we have done well in this business. We have to enter this market. What is that market? That market is market B. How attractive is it to you? Very, very attractive. But how will the competitor react? The competitor react is very normal. He's not going to react very, very well. Maybe it's a market that the competitor doesn't think he's interested in. But let's say you enter a market like C. That's very, very attractive to you, and the competitor is going to really hit back because that's equally reactive to it. So this is where the fight will begin. You want it, and he will not give it to you. So this is where the battle will happen. So understand the 2 terms, attractiveness to you and competitive reactiveness. Let's look at 2 examples. It's a thin print, maybe we'll go full screen and watch it. This is Unilever's attractiveness versus Procter's reactiveness. Unilever says, I want to enter European food market. How will Procter and Gamble react? It's okay, you enter the market, we don't care. My reactiveness is very low, I don't really care about that. But Unilever wouldn't really care about American personal care because they are also not too interested in that market. But let's say they enter into European market, personal care market. The reactiveness is going to be strong. The attractiveness is going to be, there's going to be a lot of fight between them. Are you all following me? Yes. Yes, not either way. Okay. So you have Unilever attractiveness versus reactiveness. Let's look at 3 or 4 ways in which this battle will happen. One is known as onslaught. What is onslaught? Onslaught is a direct attack where the goal is to make the market share your target area and make the customer to retreat. Very simple. Make the competitor to retreat. Very simple. Onslaught is very, very painful for the company. Price cutting without consideration of profits, heavy expenditure on marketing, advertising, and promotion to do everything possible to upset the distribution pattern and to get rid of you. All the time. Onslaught is a big battle that happens. All the time, Coke and Pepsi are getting into an onslaught battle. They want to kill the other guy, they want to. In an onslaught, there's only one survivor. Ek bachega, dusra marega. That is the no, because it's a constant battle happening on markets after markets after nobody wants. You don't know what is going to be. It's an ongoing battle. But there are examples of areas. Pardon?
इधर चल रहा है अगर बीच में घर भी बना है
Okay, so one other example is the DRAM market. You know what is the DRAM market? Everybody knows what is the dynamic RAM market. The example is Intel was dominating the DRAM market, and Japanese came up with their own DRAM chips. Intel initially tried to compete with the market. Then Intel realized I can't compete with these Japanese companies on their low cost chips. Intel just walks up. So that is what happened. A very interesting story is Wipro tried to enter the American for what is known as insurance and other things. Now, American market is controlled by Accenture and IBM. So what they did is, I think it was you.
Yeah, mute also.
I can't mute. You can mute the how do I mute you?
Bottom number. Yeah, there, the screen.
Where?
Here. That's will not able to give it. Yeah, there. There. Oh, no, I think I will there.
Yeah, I think.
So we cannot hear you.
Hello.
Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir.
Yeah. Wait. Let's get
No, it doesn't.
let's get yes.
I'll call him.
Sir, now we can hear you, sir.
You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Very good. So anyway, you got onslaught. Let's move into the next one. Context. Context is rather very interesting. The difference between onslaught and context is it involves technology. Onslaught is like carpet bombing, looking for Osama bin Laden and bombing all over Afghanistan because you have no idea where he is. But context is more structured. Context is more nicer. I hope you guys can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay, context is more nicer. Technology, how does it work? There are two examples. One is an example that comes from the book, and another is my example. The one is what happens was, Warner Brothers, name a movie that they made. Harry Potter and all of them. So how did you normally end up watching Harry Potter? You watched them on a borrowed CD that you went and picked it up from the library. And who made the money? Warner Brothers hardly made the money. It was the distributor who made money. It was the CD rental company which made the money. So what Warner Brothers realized, but this really funny. We are the guys who are making the movies. And we are not making the money because people are not coming to the theaters. And the guy who's making the money is that the DVD distribution company. So how do I fight this competition? What is it that I should do to kill them? What Warner Brothers did was to sit down and work out a technique in which they could get rid of it. What they realized was that the DVD cost about $1 for you to rent for a day or two. Now, they started working with the DVD manufacturers to make sure that the cost of DVD can be brought down substantially. What they did is they were able to bring down the cost of the DVD to just $2. Now, at $2, which is a better option for you? To rent it and then run and return it after 2 days, and you may want to watch it again and again and again. So it's better for me to invest and buy that $2, and that way they were able to get rid of their competitor and allowed them to make money because of the fact that they used a competing technique called contest. That is the example. I'll give you another example. The Shivaji movie is a very, very landmark movie in Indian distribution history. Earlier, I don't know how many of you, I belong to a different era of people watching movies, is that it was impossible for me to go and watch a Shivaji movie first day, first show. Either I had to go and buy the ticket in black, I would pay 200, 300, 400. I don't know how many of you even know the word black, what it stands for. Yeah. Do you know what is black ticket? Yes, but today there are no black tickets, right? So that is the way it is. Now, so by the time I actually ended up watching the Shivaji movie was 10 days later. Or Monday morning, I go to my office and I download the pirated version of the movie, a camera print or this print or mobile print or whatever it is, and I watch it. Correct? There are only two options. One, I lose interest in the movie and I don't watch it at all because it's after 10 days, everybody has told me the story and they say everything. I know the dialogues, no point. And second is they don't make money because I'm downloading it on a pirated version. So the guys who are the producers of the Shivaji movie called UTV, and this is in my conversation with them that I realized what they did. They said, we realized that we only have 3 days to make money. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. By Monday morning, she goes to Infosys and the EMBA term 1, watch. So that is what happens. What they did is that normally you would rent 10 theaters in a city, which had 100 and run for 3 shows. What UTV did was to rent all 100 theaters in a city. All 100 theaters would run Shivaji movie 3 times a day or 5 times a day or whatever times. So it ended up that almost 70% of the population had already finished watching the movie over the next 3 days, and they were able to win. And so I was among the guys who proudly put on WhatsApp saying they're watching Shivaji. It's a Hamdi Day. So that is what it is. So what they did was to play on context to be able to kill a competitor. And now it's become a norm. You look at a Shah Rukh Khan movie or you look at a Salman Khan movie, every theater will run it. And by Monday morning, you know whether it's a hit or not, because 80% of the people have already watched it. So that's an example of context. Then we have an example of guerrilla campaign. What is guerrilla campaign? You know what is guerrilla what? Huh? Yeah, so what else does it?
Warfield is not so easy for that. For the other
No, there is a particular thing called guerrilla war. What happens in a guerrilla?
hide and
Hide and fight.
Surprise
Surprise
element.
element. You don't follow the rules of the game. You're not ethical practices. Anything goes. Fighting, shooting in the back is also allowed, and everything is works. Now, guerrilla campaign. But remember one thing, it's very interesting for the professor to tell these stories because they don't happen so fast. It takes years and years before these stories actually get to be published, get to be recorded, and they are approved as a real guerrilla campaign or a context or a onslaught. So it takes a long time. But normal books have a very interesting story about progressive insurance. I don't want to take that example, you can read. A very interesting example that happened was about, can you be quiet there? Was that Heya. How many of you know the company called Heya? Most of you know. How many of you have a Heya product? There's just one, two, very interesting. See what happened, Heya is a Chinese brand. And a very successful Chinese brand in that part of the world, including the small Asian neighborhood. They wanted to enter US. And what do they sell? Washing machines, refrigerators, air conditioners, right? Home appliances or wine goods, whatever they call it. Now, when they tried to enter the American market is so competing market. This is Porter's five forces, threat of new entrants. No way will General Electric or Whirlpool or so-and-so ever allow a new guy to enter the market. They even go into cartelling to ensure that a new player does not. So they realized it's impossible for me to go and enter the market. But then they found out an alternate way of doing it. If you look at a typical American family, when they have what is known as a long weekend, what is a long weekend? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. On a long weekend, what do? They drive out. When they drive out, they take the car and the family goes out and they stay in one of those motels, which are 3-star, 4-star hotels. They stay overnight before they go for a garden or a forest or whatever they do there. So what Heya did was something very interesting. They went to all the hotels, all these 3-star, 4-star hotels and said, look, listen, we'll replace all your air conditioners with Heya air conditioners. We'll do it free of cost. We'll replace all your televisions with our. And we will replace all those mini fridges in the hotel rooms with Heya. The motel guys are normally the Patels, so they're more than happy to do that. So what happened was that this couple goes to the thing, they check into the hotel, they find that the air conditioning is brilliant, they find that the TV is fabulous, they find that the refrigerator is very nice, and they have experienced the product. I told you psychological pricing involves ownership of the product. They stay there for Saturday and Sunday. They own the refrigerator. They own the air conditioner. They play around with the remote of the TV. They have experienced the product. And one fine day when they want to replace the product, they go into the mall, they find that the hair is in some corner of the sales outlet because nobody wants to promote it. They say, wow, we know this product. We use this in our next holiday or the previous holiday. We definitely have experienced it. Let's try it. So by what was known as a guerrilla campaign, even without GE or any one of them knowing, overnight, they lost 5% of the market. That is what guerrilla campaign did. And I have put in WhatsApp, I have put the guy who actually he got a Thinkers 50 award for very innovative. This is a very, very recent story. This is like a story like 3-4 years old back. Now, what's Chanakya got to do with this story? It's a very interesting thing. Is you know what Chanakya did, right? He was trying to get rid of the Magadha Empire and put who into the position? Rajkumar? Chandragupta. Right, I'm just making sure all awake. Okay. So what happens was every time he tries to attack the capital, he gets hit back. Every time he tries to attack the capital, he gets hit back. And Chanakya is sitting and wondering, how do I fight this battle? How do I get rid of the Magadha guys? And he's sitting below a tree. It's a hot summer day. Sitting below a tree and wondering, what do I do next? Then he hears the conversation of a mother and son talking to each other. It's lunchtime and it's a big bowl of rice and hot sambar is poured on it. And the boy tries to touch at the center of the thing and he burns his finger. Then the mother teaches the boy how to eat the rice. He says, allow the sambar to come out, drip out of the big thing. In the edges, it'll be cold. That is where you should eat. And Chandragupta realizes that I am doing a big mistake by attacking the capital. I should attack the bordered cities and small towns and villages. That is how he's able to capture it. So that was the reference to that. So that is guerrilla campaign. And we got 2 more. Are we running out of time? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So there is paint. Again, very, very complicated. I'll try to give you a story. The paint is you get your competitor to fight with you in a different market, but you attack a different market. Like you make the competitor to focus on one area, but your plan is actually another area. There is examples like Nike versus Adidas. Adidas is a super European brand. Nike is a large American brand. So what Nike does is it tries to enter the European business. Then Adidas gets worried. Oh my God, the guy is entering into my prime territory, and they focus all their marketing power there. Nike will release a new brand in US. So that is the way it happens. It sounds very easy, but it's very complex learning. So this is one more thing that I would like you to read about. And then we got Gambit. Gambit is it's more like how many of you play chess? So what is Gambit? Yeah. When you actually sacrifice a particular pawn for a greater win. You willingly wanting to sacrifice a horse or a bishop, you have a bigger plan ahead of it. So a gambit is actually fighting with it. There's many examples. There's just one example that we look at it. It's Bic and Gillette were 2 competing brands with similar products. Bic was also having a significant in the men's shaving industry, and Gillette was also having a lot of products that Bic had. Now, Gillette is a market leader when it comes to men's shaving products. And where does Gillette make their money? On the stick or on the cartridge? They give you the stick free, they make money on the cartridge, and each cartridge is supposed to thousands of rupees. And they make a killing out of that market. Now Big realizes, oh my God, these guys are making so much of money, taking the cut for that. And if that blue strip becomes pale, it's time to change the same. It's all marketing gimmick just to make you change it. What Big did was they came up with a very innovative product. They came out with disposable razors. It's a plastic razor. It costs $1. You just use it for a couple of times and throw it. Now that hit the Gillette market. And Gillette said, we are losing it. So immediately Gillette came up with their own disposable razors. After some months, they said, we're not enjoying the business. We're not making money. Everybody is buying disposable razors. And what happened to our Mac 3, Mac 4, Mac 14, whatever that is? None of them is working. So they invite Big for coffee to their office and say, hey, listen, why are we fighting? Both of us are not making any money. Let's do one thing. You get out of the men's shaving business. And I will get out of pens and lighters and whatever other businesses that you are there. Let's both sacrifice one of our key products and not compete. So Gillette gets out of those businesses, Big makes a lot of money, and Big gets out of the razor business, and immediately next month Gillette stops producing disposable razors. So this is how a competing product happens. So I will stick to exactly 4:30. It's what is the time? 3 minutes. I am professional. Okay. Then harvesting is best example of harvesting is post-vaccination. It's very best to example harvesting is that you define the markets that you want. So what is that called? Serum Institute of India will make the vaccine for certain markets. Some other company will make a vaccine for certain markets. So they don't have any competing products. Each of them will stick to their own market. Right? All defined territory. So these are the 5 or 6 ways in which we discussed. I have a small explanation to it. From your exam or whatever point of view, if you can read this, think of those examples that I gave you, you can do it. Right? So with this, I'm done. And any questions of any kind? Most welcome.
This gorilla example that you gave here, so like that was a strategy, right?
Yes, it's a strategy to fight the politics.
But you were saying that, gorilla is a little tricky or running is what I thought, but no, it's different.
Yeah, but when it's, when you do below the radar, you're not visible. You're not visible until they do that. For example, what could be a gorilla tactic is, my mother is among those people who actually already cast because she has that postal ballot thing. It's quite old. So when they get to our house, and that lady there is saying, you must choose the candidate, but she's actually pinpointing on a particular candidate. She said, remove your hat. I know what to do. So that is what, that's gorilla campaigning, right? You're not, so that is the tricky part of it. Okay, so I enjoyed your classes. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Likewise, sir. Sir, important question, sir.
Important question. Tomorrow बोलना पड़ेगा PPT number or slide number. See, she's Mr. Paklu, the other day she called me and I read out everything. I promise not to share it. Yes,
Sir, what's her name, sir?
I can tell you she has all the answers. Going to tell them from PPT 1 to 86. So this is it. Right?
Except the first and last slide.
The first and the slide, last slide and everything in between. So good, take care, all the best, do well in your career. And I just want one thing from all of you in return for just 18 hours. Very simple. Next time you see me anywhere, most of you guys online, I haven't seen your faces, but you've seen my face. You must stop and say hello.
For sure, sir.
I know Jaideep, right? Yes. I know Jaideep's face.
So where do you stay in Bangalore? We can come to your home also.
That's positive.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me the consignment number, then I'll tell you the. I stay in South.
Yes, sir. Tell me what's the address. I'll come.
Yeah, sure, most welcome. I stay in South Bangalore. Give me a call. You have my number. We are following you on Twitter. You're following me on Twitter. I've been a little quieter. I get a little. Very quiet. LinkedIn. Huh? LinkedIn. LinkedIn, yeah. Very quiet. Very quiet. I'm little choosy on it. Pardon?
You should post, you should keep posting.
Sir, is there any possibilities that we get to see you again in the upcoming trimesters?
No. Actually, I told the previous thing that I'm finally seeing myself. Okay, is that you have some brilliant professors taking some subjects in all the terms. So I'm just the tip of the iceberg. You have some great professors coming. That's the beauty of the Dayanand Sagar thing. They got the best of the team. So you will enjoy triple fold your upcoming classes. I give you an absolute guarantee. of
That's
that.
your marketing, right?
Up
But
the
when we
ante.
go there, when we decide, do we have a choice to come back and?
I'll tell you what, when the choice comes, I'll do it. But if there's no choice and you were so excited with the professor, will you come back and say so? That's perfect. I'm quite sure. No, all jokes apart, it's some great teaching faculty that we're very pleased to let you know that. And always I'll be here next term, whenever that next batch. Yeah.
We have already experienced that this semester, sir. So we absolutely go by that.
Perfect. That's nice of you. And I finally took me 7 years or 14 classes to realize that the name appears out there. And it was just, I think you mentioned or something, that look there. It's been learning. I was telling you and the other guys, the unique thing about MBA classes is that I have 30 years, you have 6 years, 7 years, but all of us have the same experience. So it's a two-way communication. There's nothing extra that I bring other than the fact that I have said this, I've used these slides so many times that I can probably deliver it better than. But it's a two-way. I've enjoyed you classes. They've been quite noisy classes. I love noisy classes. I can't be very quiet. You must have already noticed that, right? Good. That's all. Enough for now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sir, thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
sir.
Thank you. Great time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Sir, you will be uploading the PPT today, sir.
Kiran.
Oh, good.
A lot of experience.
Yeah, I know. I will get that. Yeah, sure. Good, all the best. Thanks. No, I will do that. I take what you say.
Because that will help your students also to speak your language when we.